Good evening. What is going on with my YouTube chat thing here? One moment. Bear with me. But anyway, good evening, everybody. It is, what's the date today? Let's see. It's, January 19th, 2026. Hope you're all doing well. I apologize for the small delay. I, had a weird thing go on with my precious database. I almost called it a database. But I also have, this is chaos already. It's just me tonight, and I found out just now that I have 3 glasses of water all on my desk. That means 3 separate times. Today, I went and grabbed a beverage. Today was a bit of chaos, and I realized about 10 minutes before the show that a pivotal pipeline in my database broke, which is the NHL Central Scouting Rankings, and so I had to revert to a previous version of the database. So for any partner level subscribers, if the data is a little bit out of whack and a little bit out of date, I apologize, but that will get fixed overnight tonight. We'll run it overnight, and that'll be that, and we'll be back on the horse. Anyway, welcome to Scouching Live. We got the Dubai Mighty Camels jersey on today. By the way, shout out if you are a Vancouver Canucks fan. If you know any Canucks fans and you're dead last in the league and you want to be there, this is the place to be. Winnipeg Jets fans, if by some reason you think you're going to be down here for the rest of the year and you're starting to pack it in, then this is the place to be. Chicago fans, we know each other very well. St. Louis fans, I don't know any of you, but you know, things might be looking a little grim there too. Maybe Calgary, but you know, we've had some Calgary folks in and out of here over the last couple of years. We glaze the Flames all the time, and when you glaze a donut, people show up. And the Rangers also seem to be having a pretty bad time. Other than that, you know, I mean, any fans of any team are welcome on this show, but we're starting to get to that point, especially as the Olympic break approaches. We're starting to get to that point where, you know, you see a lot of we're starting to get to that point where you see a lot of fans realizing what's going on with their team this year. Speaking of which, the Minnesota Wild just scored a beauty on the Toronto Maple Leafs to go up 2-0 here. So yeah, by the way, I have the free Prime game going on right now, the Toronto Minnesota game, just in the background, you know, a little bit of background noise to keep the brain waves flowing. But anyway, also thank you very much for the super chat there. Yeah, shout out Cape Breton Screaming Eagles. I don't even really know who's on that team this year. Trying to remember. Now I don't remember. But in any case, welcome to the show. We've been hard at work. I do have the first batch of candidates for Video Room videos downloaded today. We're going to do some 2025 draft guys who are still playing outside of the pro leagues, and we're going to take a look at them and see what's going on with them. If you remember what the Video Room series is, it's just a cross-sectional look at a player, just, you know, casually watching a game, seeing what they're doing, what they bring, what they're not, and see where things go from there. Yeah, shout out Romain L'Italien. Yeah, that's a guy. He's on that team. I mean, I love Cape Breton. I went when I was a kid, and I've been wanting to go back ever since. It's a very beautiful place in the world. It's a very beautiful place in this wonderful country of ours. And I'm just looking at their roster. Oh, they got Raul Boyard on the team. That's a guy. What else is going on here? I don't recognize anybody else. So there you go. You meant to type the Jordan is not cool. That's too bad. Because, I mean, I know one Jordan in my life. Actually, 2, technically. I know one much better than the other. And they're all right. They're fine. Nothing wrong with those people. Especially the Jordan I know less than the Jordan I know more. Nothing wrong with him. But anyway, yeah. But yes, thank you very much for the super chat. It means a lot. Can eagles scream? Well, I mean, when they dive bomb hard enough, and I mean, it does sound like they're kind of screaming when they get on that perch and let it out. See, I went on a little trip to Alaska not too long ago, like right before the pandemic, and I had the pleasure of seeing a bald eagle in America high up in a tree, and that was pretty cool. They're way bigger than you might think, honestly. I was a little bit taken aback at how big they were. But then again, it was Alaska. Everything is weird in Alaska. Everything's huge. Things look really tiny because everything is so huge, and the birds also are huge. So, yeah, cool place though. Okay, yeah, Jordan Young, you're cool, I guess. I don't know you. I just know that 2280 is the dimensions of an M.2 hard drive because I just bought one of those. That's all I know. I don't recognize your username. Welcome to the show. Anyway, yeah, okay, so we do have some Canucks fans here. Being waiting 20 years for the Canucks to build through the draft. Yeah, so I guess we can start there tonight. We had a couple of trades today, and the title of the show for tonight obviously stems from the dam of trades before the Olympic break kicks in, which is happening sooner than you might think. It's only a couple of weeks away, and we're off to Milan. Well, I'm not. I'm staying home. I didn't get selected to any Olympic committees or teams this year, unfortunately. I didn't quite crack the ski mountaineering team for Team Canada. So all the best to them, but I didn't quite make it. But yeah, I mean, the Canucks traded Kiefer Sherwood, one of the darlings of the Vancouver Canucks, for it was 2 second-round picks, one this year and one next year, and a defenseman, Cole. What's his name? Cole Clayton. Yeah, Cole Clayton. A body, ELC for ELC. And I mean, look, I'll be honest. I haven't seen too much of the Vancouver Canucks this year. But what I have seen is like Sherwood's the type of guy that I would probably want on my team at the bottom of the lineup anyway. He's on pace for how many goals this year? Like maybe he could hit 30. And he had, we'll see if that holds, but even if you do get a 20-goal scoring bottom six, energy guy who can sort of fill in a role, then and the fact that the Sharks are adding a player like that, I think it makes a lot of sense. The Sharks are, I think, beginning that turning a corner mode, and they can see how this goes. They have the money to spend if they want to extend him a little bit. But if you want to see how things go with him and see if he really brings an added boost to your team, you only paid a couple of second-round draft picks, and the Sharks, they draft like 1 billion times a year, so I think you can handle trading 2 second-round picks for a guy who's having a really good season, a guy who teams seem to love having around. And at the end of the day, I think it's a really interesting move for both teams. I mean, clearly Vancouver is pivoting hard, is pivoting real hard into a new direction, into a new another dimension of whatever it is. I got to tell you this. Look, Canucks fans, I love you. I think Vancouver's beautiful. I got nothing against Vancouver at all. This is just an observation from afar, but it is hilarious watching, and it's not just Vancouver. It's a bunch of teams. It's like when we're about to hit a government crash or a recession or something, and they start using these like fluffy terms where it's like things are sticky, or it's transitory, or it's only temporary. It's this and this hyper fixated, narrow focused, slow down type thing. And it's like, well, we're not rebuilding. We are going to mix it up and try out some new ideas and just trim things around the edges, and also we're going to trade the best player our team has had in a long time, and also a guy that everybody loves and all this other stuff. I mean, I know they're being a little more forthright with the rebuild thing, but it is really funny to me listening to NHL teams kind of like, not like just sugar coating, like they're like sugar in a blast furnace coating all of this stuff. And you know what? It is what it is. Everybody kind of knows what's up, right? And I don't really know why. I guess it's like if you say you're a rebuilding team, it's like it's a catastrophe in the minds of some people or something. I don't know. But whatever, I don't run comms for an NHL team, so it is what it is. But I just think it's really funny. Yes, a hybrid retool. Yeah, that's the words. Though that's the phrase where I kind of go, just say it straight. Tell it to me straight, Doc. What's the deal? Just rip the Band-Aid off. Are we going to be bad for a while? Okay, right? I think that it's super important to be on the same wavelength as the people who pay for your salary by going to games in your arena. And anyway, I just think it's really funny. But yeah, I mean, the Kiefer Sherwood trade makes a lot of sense for both teams, I think. I mean, the San Jose Sharks, where are they in the standings here? They're in a playoff spot. They are clinging to a playoff spot. It's not the cleanest hold on a playoff spot, but they're doing well in their last 10, it looks like. And I think looking up and down their roster, I think Sherwood fills a role that they kind of need. I mean, I think they do need some more help on the defensive side of the game and everything with the personnel back there. But at the end of the day, he's a good addition. They didn't pay a first-round pick, which was the rumored cost on him for a while. And the San Jose Sharks didn't trade anyone they've already drafted and developed or anything, and they can afford to part with some futures, right? Like it's Kiefer Sherwood. Like whenever I watch this team, the Vancouver Canucks, whenever I get the chance, he is a pretty sticky outie. He's there. He is one of the more apparent guys on the team. Did I just accidentally open up a piece of software? Yes, I did. Whoopsie. But anyway. Right. Is the high-end talent in next year's draft stronger than this year, or is it too early to tell? It's always too early to tell, my friend. I think the thing that I am relatively certain of for next year is that this is going to be a great year for Russian players. Next year, that is, not this season. This season there's a couple of good ones, but like next year it's like a special group of Russian players. Like I was told in the summer by multiple people who are Russian, they were like, the 09s, we think they're the best group we've had in a really long time. Like the 09 group, even defensemen, like we might have some of the best players we've ever generated, like, in this age group, in this 09 age group. And having seen them firsthand, they might be right. There's a lot of guys in the MHL this year who are -1s, who are doing really, really well. Let me just pull up a list here, because that I feel relatively confident about is that next year, like the strength of the class from Russia is going to be even better. And a real major point. In terms of elsewhere, like I watched some of the U17s, Canada, the US, those teams. I think Sweden has some good players coming for next year. They've got a really strong class. Like next year you've got in the US, in Russia, you've got Provalov, who I love, Sergei Skvortsov, who I love, Vladimir Styrkunov, who I also have really, really liked. Pavel Chernyshub has also been really good for Omsk as well. Just a really interesting defenseman. Roman Kozhevnikov is another one who I've really, really liked. I'm sure there are also goalies. There's a goalie, or no, he's a 2028 draft for Yaroslavl, but I saw him and he blew me away. I can't remember his name though. There's a lot going on here. There's a lot of good players in Russia for next year. And it's going to be very interesting to see how those guys work out. But in any case, what was the name? There was another one. There's a name of kid who I don't see on here who was also really, really good. He was on the Gold Star team, and his name was not Dmitry Savin, Artyom Katsuro. That's the one. Artyom Katsuro. He was also really, really good, and he hasn't played in the MHL yet, but he was gross. So no shortage of stuff there. But in terms of next year's draft in general, it's too early to tell. I think the NTDP might be a bit better. But this class is just a lot of really, really intriguing players, and it's an interesting one. It's hard. I don't know. But it might be somewhat similar. It might be somewhat similar. We had a goalie fight tonight. I just saw that pop up in the Scouching Discord server for subscribers at scouching.ca. Goalie fight happened in Florida tonight. So there you go. Good for them. Everybody loves a good goalie fight. Shout out Newfoundland Regiment. Yeah, heck yeah. Shout out Newfoundland Regiment. Shout out Gord Dwyer. Gord rocks. I gotta say, Gord Dwyer, like, I don't think he watches the show. I don't think he had any idea who I was when we met in PEI. But I was in a very unfamiliar group of people, in a sea of people that I didn't really know all that well. And who walks up and shakes my hand and introduces himself and starts talking my ear off about how excited he was to be doing what he's doing. I mean, I kind of gave him a little bit of a head start on that. But Gord Dwyer, man, he saw me in the scouting room on my own. And he came up and introduced himself. He asked what I was up to. I showed him my work and everything, and thought, oh, that's cool, good to know, yada yada yada. Gave me that whole thing. But just a super nice guy, and not a bad word I can say about Gord Dwyer. And I told him how much I loved Newfoundland. I've been there a couple times, and I've always loved it. And he was super super excited about running that team. So all the best for the Newfoundland Regiment. And yeah, great dude. Hemming is high, what gives? Yeah, I mean, so I haven't tracked a game of Oscar Hemming yet, but I was really blown away with what I saw out of him for a guy playing his second college hockey game for Boston College. Like, he is a very interesting player. Like, I think he brings some really high-end stuff in conjunction. Not only is he very, very young for the draft class, but he is very, very big. He is a very skilled player as well, I think, from what I've seen. His pace of play and his energy is really high. He's very physical, and I think that would be something I'd want to lean into more if I were coaching him. And he can absolutely rip a hockey puck in half. Like, Hemming was really, really good at the game that I watched. And I believe, I mean, when he plays a couple more games, we'll take another look and a closer look and do some data work on him. But super, super sick player. And, maybe it's shiny new toy syndrome, but I had pretty limited expectations of Hemming coming out of the Hlinka for this year. And seeing him in the first round in places, I was a little bit skeptical of that, looking back on my notes and some video on him. But he's hit the ground running with BC and looks pretty darn good in that environment. So really like him, and I've really grown to appreciate what he brings to the game. And the keen-eyed among you, I think I saw a comment about Belchetz, but he's behind Belchetz, and I think that's because he brings a more diverse and well-rounded package of abilities than a Belchetz does. We just did another game of Belchetz in the server the other day. Actually, I should update you on exactly who I've done recently so you have a good background on this, but I can't remember where I left off after the last show, but we took a look at Ty Lawrence, Morgan Anderberg, Caleb Malhotra, Casey Mutrin, Ilya Morozov, Nikita Klepov, Albert Smits. We did a game of Vertes Svensk, and he was playing on the wing in Liga. That was weird, but we love that. It makes the strangest player in the draft even stranger. Xavier Villeneuve was another one we did. Cooper Williams we did. Lars Steiner, William Håkansson. He was really good. Ivar Stenberg, again, another really great one. Our boy, Wiggo Sorensen, played one game. He played one game at the top division of under-18 hockey for Vekwa and was unbelievable. He could have had 5 points, came away with 3 assists, couple of really great goal-scoring opportunities. I mean, he doesn't belong there either. Like, he's playing Division 2, and yeah, sure, say what you will about it, but him playing at the under-18 level, he didn't belong there either. He was outstanding, and they should find a way to loan him out somewhere else. But if they don't, you know what? I'll be happy adding Wiggo Sorensen to team scouting in the 5th or 6th round, whatever it is, because he is truly, I am willing to put my neck out quite far for him. And having seen him at the under-18 level now in Sweden, and knowing that some guys get drafted out of there all the time, he was dominant. Like, I don't really know how else to put it. He was, by and large, the best skater, the most skilled, the most explosive player on the ice, and just, yeah, love him. He's great, and we had a lot of fun. I did the first game Mathis Preston played with Vancouver. I did not move him on my list. He is exactly right where I left him, and I'm fine with that still. And then we did a game of Simas Ignatavicius, the Lithuanian,
top 10 NHL Central Scouting, but Lithuanian. He was pretty good. It was the best game I've seen him play this year. Looks like his skating stride has gotten a lot more fluid and a lot more comfortable on his feet. He's going with the flow of play really well. Work and give and goes really, really well. He has a bit of that physical energy in his game that you want to see. Really, really good forechecking results, and like another one of these just complementary, strong, big wingers who has a bit of skill in their game this season and might be worth a really, really close look. But yeah, with regards to Belchets, I mean, yeah, we did a game of him recently, or at least I did. And it's more of the same with him, where I really struggle, like, and I think at the OHL Top Prospects game, it was also it was also kind of apparent. Like, he was on a line with Alex Kostov and who was their center? It wasn't Malhotra. I can't remember. It was D'Iorio. Alessandro D'Iorio. Oh my God. Alessandro D'Iorio. And I thought with Belchets, like Belchets plays off of guys really, really well. Like, he is very big. He protects the puck very well. He has a bit of a physical streak here and there that comes and goes, but he's a guy where I feel like he kind of needs to be the more physical, developed, bolder on skates to his competition to be successful. And I look at a guy like Oscar Hemming and I go, he can do that too, but he has the skill and the escape speed and the energy in his game more consistently that I just look at a Belchets and I just haven't really seen yet. But he's a really tough one. Like, if a team drafts in top 5, I guess I can see the argument for why, but especially in this class. But I've just really struggled with Belchets to get a good read on like how I feel about him and how excited I am about him as a player, rather than like, well, he's just big and strong, and guys like that don't come around very often at this age, and he can really shoot, and he's had a bit of moments of skill through traffic and all that, which is great, and that's fine. But in terms of like a diverse two-way sort of highly impactful style of play that doesn't require some heavy lifting from some people he's playing with, it just knocks him down my list a little bit. And Hemming, again, it might be just shiny toy syndrome, but he was quite good in the game I saw. So I hope he plays more in the next little bit, because I want to see a better look at him as opposed to just playing 2 games. Is there a Sherwood equivalent in the draft? Well, I mean, again, I haven't seen enough of the Vancouver Canucks to give you a pretty good read on what Sherwood brings to the game. So unless my analysis of like rambunctious bottom 6 winger who has a physical side and can shoot and just sort of runs around and hits and shoots and hits and shoots and just works and works and works, there's quite a few this year. And again, so before I give you specifics, I might want to ask if that's what you want, or if you have a better understanding of Kiefer Sherwood, because I'm not the most familiar with how the Canucks have been this year, in terms of the ins and outs of their players, outside of the ones that I already know who are on that team, who are doing what they can, the Ratus, the Carlsons, the Rossies, the Booyams, those types of guys. All right. So yes, it would be nice. It would be nice if you could give me some more context. Your Garden played Bjork at second line center recently. Well, that's very interesting. We might need to go and have a look at that, because the crazy thought in my head has been that Viggo Bjork might actually be able to be an NHL center. I think it's possible. We'll see. I haven't seen him a little bit since the World Junior, but it would be nice. So maybe I'll try to fish for a game that he's playing center in the SHL and see what that looks like. I don't think I've done a game of him playing at that level, or a game of him playing in that position. Let's see. Got to check my database. All right. No, he's only played on the wing. So I'll take a look at that. I appreciate the note. Okie doke. My Bo Horvat jersey sitting in my closet. Yeah, you know what though? Like, wear it. You know, you you have your affection for Bo Horvat. I understand it. Wear it. Who cares? You know, just the Green Goblin may have been a villain, but like you can at least say like I was the Green Goblin. You know, like you're a super villain in a way, and it's like if you I guess I can see the point of view where it's like you have the opportunity staring right at you literally in your closet to be a supervillain, and I guess you resist the temptation and it makes you a good person, but I've seen a bit of The Boys. Maybe there's another darker side of it where you go, you know what? I'm going to be the Green Goblin now. I'm going to do it, you know? Just pull that thing out. Wait, shouldn't have said that. Never mind. Undo. And yes, I agree. You can describe certain areas of Vancouver as sticky. I was talking more about economic inflation, but Vancouver counts too, I suppose. And I am also I can't cast rocks. I am in a stone house. I live in the Greater Toronto area. Certain areas of Toronto are certainly sticky as well. Who's the 6'5" center in Quebec for 2027? I think Alexis Joseph. Joseph is interesting. I think Joseph he's got a really intriguing skill set of like the combination of like size and power through pressure, and he's very inside driven, and there's lots of things about his game to really, really like. And he's a bit physical from time to time as well, from what I've seen, but his game is more about like the size and the finesse in his game, but also just the strength and the power to fight through pressure and everything. But he's one of these guys where I'm not going to jump all over him as like an elite thing yet, because not only have I not seen enough, but what I have seen of him, like at the under 17s, and like he wasn't the guy at the under 17s that I was like very firmly trained on, like every shift he was on the ice. Like there weren't that many of those, but like Brock Englund was one. There were a couple of defensemen. Douglas Johnson on Sweden was one of those. Milan Sundstrom was another one. Like those guys were all really, really impressive. And Joseph was good too. He was quite good. But I kind of, with him, it's more like, all right, I see him as a high-end guy, but I'm going to see what he looks like next year before I start, like the last thing I want to do is start putting ideas in my head of like, well, this guy should be a top pick next year. This guy should be this guy should be that, and sort of priming myself for something that I really shouldn't be doing. But Joseph next year will be a guy that's a high priority for me to take a really good look at, because I think there's a lot of promising parts of his game. I just don't know if it's fully baked yet. And yeah, I agree. Everyone's expectations on trade. I mean, look, fans, there's the Bible right now. There's a Bible of fans and how fans see their own team and other teams and all that. It's the whole like, oh, I'll trade you a second round pick and these two guys that nobody likes or even thinks about, and you give me your number one center. And it's like, yeah, no one's going to do that, right? Like, I mean, everybody wants a fleece. They want everything out of a trade. And I think with the Sherwood thing, it was pretty reasonable, all things considered. Like I might not have paid a first round pick for Kiefer Sherwood, but it is a good deal, I think, for both teams, wherein like Vancouver may very well take those picks and knock them out of the park, and San Jose gets Sherwood as a rental and goes, darn, we could have used those picks. But at the same time, like the Sharks are in that scenario where it's like we're young, we have that young energy, we have a lot of really good things going for us, and we're sort of on the up and up. We can battle for a playoff spot, and it's like it's kind of like Montreal in a way where you look at Montreal and you're like, okay, it's been a really long time where you've been scrounging around the bottom of the league, and like so. You've drafted a ton, so probably by now you should have enough in the bank that moving a couple of picks for someone who can help you now is not going to be a problem. But like Chicago, I think, is very rapidly approaching that point where it's like you kind of should be turning a corner. And if you're not, like, I get that your guys are young and everything, but years start to melt away awfully quick, right? So I think for San Jose, they're looking at it as like, well, he's a guy that fills boots that we need on our team. And it didn't cost us much at all. In fact, it cost them basically nothing to do it on paper. And we'll see if it costed them a lot to do it. And it'll take 5 years to know that. I guess on that note, we can touch on Rasmus Andersson. Because Rasmus Andersson's the bigger one that got traded. He was traded to Vegas for Zach Whitecloud, first and a second. I believe that was the entire trade. And I mean, look, I know people are kind of poking around at Craig Conroy a little bit because the rumored deal from Boston was something like Mason Lowry, a first-round pick, and was it? I don't remember. I want to say Fraser Minton, but I feel like it might not have been that. And I mean, look, I honestly, like, I watched a bit of Andersson today, and I watched a bit of Whitecloud today while I was eating my lunch, just to see what they were all about. I mean, I think Craig Conroy did pretty good. like Rasmus Andersson was playing on their top pair, obviously, and he was playing with Kevin Ball. Oh, my browser crashed. That's weird. But yeah, I mean, what was I saying? Sorry, my browser crashed. I think I overloaded. I need to download more RAM. I think I overloaded my RAM there for a minute. But I already forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, Rasmus Andersson. Like, I was watching some Whitecloud, watching some Andersson, and honestly, I think Conroy did pretty well. I liked what I saw out of Whitecloud. He's not obviously the sort of dynamic offensive defenseman with the skill and the passing ability that you're going to get out of a Rasmus Andersson, but watching Whitecloud, it was one of those things where it's like he just was kind of like really solid everywhere. He just kind of patrols play really well. He monitors the ice really well, is aware of lanes and positions himself well defensively, aggressive at the offensive blue line, which is like what I like. I actually did a video on Zach Whitecloud like years ago when he was a rookie, because he was one of these guys that kind of came out of nowhere and stuck on an NHL roster, and I kind of wanted to see what that was like. And it was a lesson for me of like how NHL defensemen can play and earn trust with a coach and stick in a lineup. And I think Whitecloud is going to be a positive addition for Calgary, and he might be a guy that, you know, I don't know, people are talking immediately about flipping him and trading him and all that stuff. You know, they're talking about like flipping him immediately. I honestly, like, good defensemen at the NHL level are not easy to find. And he's only 29, right? Like that's a decent defenseman to have around if he sticks and you like him. That's a decent defenseman to have lying around for the next few years when you get younger. Like, he's a decent defensive player. I don't think he's going to be such a huge difference maker that like the Calgary Flames don't end up with those high draft picks that everybody wants. But considering you're also getting a first round pick and a second round pick, those two things combined for Rasmus Andersson, who's an expiring contract, and you don't have, oh my God, you don't have an extension in place, you're laughing. I think you're having a good time. So yeah, I mean, again, Craig Conroy is a guy who, again, he hasn't called me yet, but I would love to pick his brain, because he's the guy that seems to be, you know, I think most in tune along with Colorado, but they're in a better situation for a rebuild, I guess you could say, than Colorado, because what he's doing, there's very little I've disagreed with. So I think that could be an interesting little move there for Calgary. And I used my mock draft tool and ran a simulator for this year's draft class with the picks that the Calgary's estimated to have. They could do some damage again this year. Like, they've got some good options this year, I think. And so, Craig, if you need any input, give me a call, because I like what the Flames are doing here, and I love Rasmus Andersson. I have for a really long time, but you know, it was time, clearly, and of course it's Vegas, And we'll see how it works out for both teams, right? I don't think Vegas cares about what they paid to get him. I'm sure they liked White Cloud, but it's Rasmus Andersson. And I don't know how much of an upgrade it is really when you've got some of the other guys on that team, but it is an upgrade, and we'll have to see how it goes. But I like the move for both teams, and it makes a lot of sense. Both trades today made a lot of sense for both teams. All right. Thoughts on William Surbrand? Surbrand. I don't know who this is, but I'll check him out because, wow, he's playing men's hockey. What happened there? Wow, he played 8 minutes the other day. All right. I mean, he plays for Timrå, which we'll see. But interesting. I've never heard of this player before. Believe it or not, you found a player I've never heard of before, so I'll check him out. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm not omnipotent. I'm not ubiquitous. I'm not everywhere all at once. Nobody is. Well, who knows? I love Victor Plante. You seemingly love him more. You're not slightly concerned about his frame? Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, like, I think his brothers grew after being drafted, and Plante is kind of small, but I like his brothers. Let's see, Derek Plante ended up how tall? He's 5'11". Max is 5'11". Zam is 5'10". Like, I mean, again, where's my like? If Plante were 6 feet tall, would anybody care, right? And I look at it as hockey pucks. I've got the hockey puck ready to go. I'm like, if I'm 5'10" and you put a hockey puck on my head, I'm 5'11". Is that more acceptable? Right? Like, I don't really worry too much with Plante because I'd rather draft a smaller player like him because he has that physical energy and he doesn't really like overthink his possessions too often. Like, he's working the puck inside scoring areas often, and he's not doing it like with really fancy skill or really wild, whatever you want to call it. I do think Plante, like, if Plante is the second guy I'm drafting, sure, great. I mean, like, the thing about my draft ranking is that it isn't necessarily like guaranteed I would draft this guy ahead of this guy, right? That's not really the optimal strategy. The optimal strategy is like doing your market research and looking around and going, who do I think is going to be the best player available now without foregoing also a guy that I really like that might be ranked 1, 2, 3, 4 spots later, right? Like, I look at my list and I go, I would probably skip over a guy like Verti Svensk at 18. If my draft class goes exactly the way my ranking does, I have the 18th pick. Would I pick Svensk right there? Probably not. Would I pick Justavar Karlsson? Probably not. I would rather gamble, and if Ryan Lynn is available or Ilya Morozov is available or Elton Hermansson, I'd rather gamble and take those guys and wait around and see if Svensk or Justavar Karlsson or Hermansson or Plante are still available in the second round. And then great, I end up with, a guy that I know I wouldn't have gotten a chance at, but I like and I think could play in the NHL, and a bigger swing that I also really, really like, but I got both, right? I hedged my bet a little bit. So, I mean, I see what you mean though, but I think in this year's draft class, like past Belchets, like for me at least, it becomes a lot of really interesting players with a lot of variable ability and a lot of varying both strengths and question marks. And while Plante, I think, has question marks, I would argue that those question marks are maybe not that much different from guys like Adam Novotny or Elton Hermansson or Pearson Bouilly or any of those guys that might come with some level of concern with regards to being knocked off pucks and being maybe not the strongest players on their feet. But with Plante, with Victor Plante, I don't know. I love him, and if he's a guy that you get in the second round, I think you're laughing. I don't know about actually hitting him in the first round unless it was one of the later picks in the round, but I do really love him. I love him a lot. Would you move Pettersson if you were the Canucks? Ugh. I mean, I don't think so. Like the only way is if, and I can't tell from afar. I can't tell from where I'm at, but the only way is if he wants out or if he's causing problems. And I don't want to speculate on if that's happening or if he wants out or anything, because a guy like Pettersson, like that talented, doesn't grow on trees, and you've already locked him up. So you're probably either going to be eating a lot of salary to make that trade, or you're not going to get very much. And so it's like, I'd rather, even if let's say he doesn't figure it out, if you're going to be a rebuilding team, Elias Pettersson is how old? 30? Okay, 28. So he's turning 20. Okay, so turning 28 this year. So you have a guy who, is not having the best go the last couple seasons. Of course, it's not going super well for him. He's getting paid like $1 million or 11.6 million. And I don't know what you're going to get if you trade him. So if you're going to be bad for the next few years, from let's say 2026 until 2030, let's say the Canucks are in that sort of pick gathering rebuild stage, you can afford an $11.6 million guy on the books. And I would almost look at it as a positive to sort of go, all right, man, like this is like, let's create an environment for you to sort of regain your game. Let's find a way to move things in the right direction for you, because it's not like he forgot how to play hockey. So it's like, let's just see what we can do over the next few years and play the long game here, because we don't want you to go anywhere. And if you don't want to go anywhere, we don't want you to go anywhere. So I would play sort of the personal angle and go like, we're going to do this, whatever hybrid retool, whatever BS you want to call it, but we want you here through it. We want you to be part of the team, but we need to figure out how to move forward. Right. And we'll see what happens, but I don't think I would jump to trading him, because also you don't want like a rebuild, whatever you want to call it, with nobody there. Like I do believe that the mix you've got matters, and having a team where you have, guys who have been around the block. One thing I do think the Leafs did do really well when they did a rebuild was they didn't just play all of their kids immediately all the time. Like they brought in some guys who had some experience, and, Brad Boyes was a hometown guy. Like Mark Arcobello had been in the grinder for years and years and years and getting a full-time job in the NHL. Like, I think that's a decent environment to have young guys in, right? It's like all these other guys who have just had it so hard and so much different, and they have to really earn their jobs and all that stuff. I mean, not that Pettersson is one of those, but you do want a mix on the team that brings a little bit of experience and a little bit of guidance, and maybe you can sort of get a little bit of that out of Pettersson, because he did go on one deep playoff run back in 2020 and another one in 2024. I mean, it wasn't like the deepest run in the world, but he's been around the block, and I feel like at the end of the day, I would see where it goes, right? Because if you do trade him, you're not going to get much. And that's also a really, 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 really awkward conversation to have, trying to get him to waive a no trade clause to go somewhere else to be one of the most expensive players in the league until 2032. Like, I just think realistically speaking, it's like looking at the Leafs earlier in the year. AJ and I both said it's like the Leafs kind of have to figure this out themselves. I don't think trades are going to save them or make them any better. I don't think they can do anything except sit in it and try to fix it. And I feel like with Elias Pettersson, you're kind of in that boat. Have you seen Tynan Lawrence since his move to BU? I saw one game. I saw the second one he played. I haven't tracked any yet, but I will. And I thought he was pretty good. I mean, I thought that him and Cole Eiserman made a really interesting pair. I do really, really. I think he's adjusting. There's obviously an adjustment period, but being in the USHL, you could see some, I wouldn't say bad habits, but like questionable decisions and sort of like this like almost awareness that he's beyond the competition a little bit too often, which I think just doesn't bode well. And so for him to make the decision midway through the season, I don't know if it's that he had courses he wanted to finish or what have you, before he went to school. but him being there now, it makes sense. I mean, I guess it would be school related, like he was finishing courses to get his GED or whatever. I guess it would be a high school diploma in the States. He just is getting it early to go to BU, right? Like, I don't know. I think it's an interesting decision. You got to give him some rope, and I thought he looked pretty good for a kid playing his first couple of games on a team that kind of desperately needs a guy like him lying around. Who's your favorite of the guys we've watched recently? I mean, that game of Håkansson we did was really, really good. The Ty Lawrence game we did was really, really good. Who else have you done recently that was really solid? I mean, Gleb Pugachev, we did that one, and he was sick, and now he's in the KHL, or at least he was for a time. So yeah, I mean, also like seeing Wiggo Sorensen in the G18 there for a game was, I didn't track that game. I will say I don't want to, but we watched it and it was awesome. He was great. Top 3 reasons Rubrek isn't in your top 32. I don't. It's tough. I don't. I think Ryan Rubrek is one of these guys where, like, he just doesn't seem to have like it. You know what I mean? Like Rubrek kind of plays like a player who has always been just way bigger than everybody, and is kind of just going along with it. Like there's no, or at least there's not enough energy or intensity in his game, off the puck especially. Like if he's trying to get around a guy, he's not really moving his feet and hands at the same time. It's usually just his hands trying to move the puck around a guy. I think he's a decent skater for a guy his size, and there's a lot to sort of be interested in. He's a really good shooter. I think his playmaking vision is better than it was at the beginning of the year. He's looking a lot more confident in that area and a lot more capable in that area. I do think he's a lot better than he was at the beginning of the year. That also matters too. But I with Rubrek, it's like, is there a shred of doubt in my head that he's going to struggle in the NHL? Like, can I see is the feeling of him maybe just not quite projecting and maybe being a good AHL player, is that a stronger feeling than like how excited I am for what he brings to the game now? And if that balance is off, then that's usually not a guy I see in the first round, right? Like I look at a guy like a Wyatt Cullen, for example, or a Gleb Pugachev or a Viktor Fyodorov. Like those guys have crazy amounts of energy and crazy amounts of playmaking ability and all kinds of stuff that showcase itself in a way that I kind of go, yeah, like I think there's a larger chance this guy works his way into a lineup than a guy like Rubrek. But it isn't because Rubrek isn't a talented player. Like it's like I always watch him and I go, I just wish there was more there. I just wish there was more sort of confidence and energy and physical play and all this other stuff. And again, I haven't seen him in a while, probably been a month or so. And he will be a guy that I will see more than this, than what I've seen so far, obviously. But we do, we can only go one player at a time. And yeah, he's been a tricky one. He might be one of these buy low candidates that you can pick up later on and hope that he regains something from last year. But even last year, he wasn't the guy that, like, I wasn't really on board with him being a super, super high end guy for this year's class. What are your thoughts on Tampa 4th rounder Benjamin Rautiainen? Well, I mean, look, it's cool. I'm surprised nobody asked about. Oh, thank you for the super chat. I'm surprised nobody asked about Rautiainen before, because I saw him setting records and stuff and seeing tweets about him flying around and everything, but we avoided it. I mean, I've seen Rautiainen a little bit. I've checked in on him here and there this season because obviously of what he's doing in Liga. I mean, look, I think you have to be really careful because Liga is a league that is very like teams are very imbalanced within their own roster, right? Like a top line Liga player relative to a bottom line one, the talent differential can be massive. And with Rautiainen, like I love his skill level. I think his playmaking ability is really, really good. But I've never been so blown away. Like what he's doing is kind of really blowing my mind with regards to production because it doesn't really pass my smell test as something that definitely means anything with any level of certainty. Like, look, I remember the days when Detroit Red Wings fans were absolutely certain and very confident that Oliver Kaski was going to be the next big thing coming out of Finland because he was over a point a game as a defenseman, or Mikko Lehtinen coming to the NHL and because of how productive he was in Europe and stuff. Like, it's not a 1-to-1, right? Like, it's not a 1-to-1. And with Liga, it's more about, for me, like it's about habits and handling physicality in terms of projecting to the NHL, and those are areas where I feel like Rautiainen is a bit sheltered. But I mean, look, I'm not gonna yuck your yum, right? Like he's having a really good season, really, really productive, and it's really promising. But for me, with him, it's always like great. It's a positive step. But I'm still not expecting like a high-end NHL player here, like based on what I've seen. But clearly looking like a guy worth drafting. I will say that, right? Like he's a guy, I didn't have him on my list last year, but I could easily see why a team would have him on their list after last season. Right. So, okay. So that what I did earlier about Kiefer Sherwood sums him up. He doesn't take nights off, sets a single season hit record by a large margin, kills penalties, just kind of pain in the ass. I mean, I'd throw Justavar Karlsson in there. Kasper Justavar Karlsson. I mean, that's exactly who he is. Victor Plante, we talked about him already. Who else would fit that bill? There's a few of them this year, right? Like, let's see. Where did my ranking go? I lost my ranking. My precious draft rankings. Yeah, I mean, like Justavar Karlsson, Plante, Viktor Fyodorov, maybe a Gleb Pugachev if you get him trained the right way. Guys like that. I'd say Justavar Karlsson definitely, like Kasper Justavar Karlsson definitely. You watch him at the World Juniors. He did not take shifts off. He never takes shifts off. He's physical. He's intense. He can score goals. He might not be the most offensively involved player or the most dynamic or incredible player, but I want him on my team. Oop, what are we doing here? Thoughts on Alexander Command? Yeah, I mean, I've seen Command relatively recently. He's interesting. Like he's got definitely some special level skating and puck distribution ability up the middle of the ice. Like he's a really, really good skater and a really high energy player. But my whole thing with him, it's looking like the Leafs of old tonight. It's 4-1 halfway into the game for the Minnesota Wild here. Are the Leafs regressing back to where they were? I will say this. The Leafs' trend of getting outshot to hell did not change in the last few games. AJ and I talked about it in the last show, but a number of teams that are actually doing very well over the last month have been getting the crap shot out of them out in terms of being outshot on the ice. It's pretty wild. But yeah, on the topic of Command, I like Command quite a bit, but I feel like with him, it's like he's got this like really good sort of finesse, high energy skating base, but there's not much result out of it in my games. Like he's not very physical off the puck. He doesn't attack that much and get through defensive layers all that much. He's very much a spin off pressure and make a play back to the blue line, and just a very basic player that has a good fundamental talent floor. I do need to go back and watch more of him because I've had a hard time with him. But like, because it's like, oh wow, he's almost like the Swedish Landon Hafley, where it's like you love the skating ability. There's lots about his game where you go, that's a high end thing. But then at the end of the game, you go, yeah, but what can I really point to that he did where I'm like, yes, that's what I'm drafting him to do in the NHL. I just don't know. And then somehow comes away with 3 points in the game, right? Like I don't know. But he's one of the guys that I think I have to take a look at in the next little bit. He's coming up. His time is coming. What team should take the risk with EP40? I don't know. Detroit. I don't know. Carolina. I'm trying to think of teams that realistically have the pieces to make something happen there. Seattle. Honestly, Seattle might make sense. They desperately, if Pettersson can get back to form, they desperately need a guy like that because Seattle is begging for just a superstar like that. To me, Seattle is missing that A-level couple of players that you need. I mean, I love guys like Beniers. I love how they've drafted, but I would never have categorized Beniers as like a world-beating game changer, right? Like extremely good third-line center on a contender, or a very good second-line center with offensive ability and just an excellent guy I would want up the middle, sure. But they kind of do miss that number, that rock of a player. Or a couple of them, right? And so maybe Seattle makes sense. They've got 2 first-round draft picks. So maybe there's something there. I don't know. That's intriguing to me. Carolina, though, would be hilarious. Carolina would be the most hilarious destination. But I don't know. The scene in so I haven't seen No Way Home, Spider-Man movie. I've seen a couple of clips pop up in my TikTok, so I've seen about 1% of it split up into 30-second fragments that I don't usually watch. But I did not see the scene where Willem Dafoe talks to a mask in the dumpster. I think movies do need more dumpster-related imagery because it really does a lot of legwork just to illustrate a lot of things, because dumpsters can mean a whole bunch of different things. So talking to a dumpster, it's good to see that. It's good to have some representation from dumpsters in movies again. Thoughts on Miles Brosnan? Is that Pierce Brosnan's son? The best James Bond to ever live? Miles Brosnan. Okay, so he's a prep school guy. I have not done the prep school circuit yet. I did look at this guy though. Why did this guy pop up? Oh, it's because of his prep school data in my tracker. I haven't taken a look at him, but generally prep school guys who are born the year before, like he's an 07, prep school guys born a year before always terrify me because they're almost by default, if they're remotely NHL quality, they are absolutely punching beneath their weight class. But that's not a be all end all. I'll check him out. When was the last time he played with the Sioux? Not Sioux Greyhounds, but the Sioux City Musketeers. It doesn't really seem to show. I don't see it on his EP page. I don't know why. Weird. But the point is, he is on the list to check out. And with Sorbrand, I'll add him to the list that famously I never get to. But no, I'll do it. I'll do it just for you because I like you. Am I crazy for wanting Kulibiakin in the third round? I wouldn't do it. I haven't really liked Kulibiakin when I've seen him. We did a game of his together like 3 weeks ago, and he wasn't really doing a whole lot. I don't know. I feel like for me, at least in the third round, there's going to be other guys that I will want to push for really hard over a guy like Kulibiakin. But I think that's around the range he'll possibly go. I think that maybe a little later, but something like that doesn't sound too crazy to me. Are McKenna and Stenberg franchise pieces to build around like Schaefer, Celebrini, or Bedard, or are they high-end complementary pieces? I mean, I think if things go right for McKenna if you think about things from the positive outlook, I mean, McKenna absolutely could be a franchise piece, right? Like in the same sense that an Elias Pettersson is a franchise piece. McKenna does have flaws, but there are quite a few things about his game that are elite enough that he will probably be a very big needle mover, a big difference maker in the NHL. So if that's what a franchise player means to you, like even if, like again, I'm not anti Gavin McKenna. I just have him lower than a lot of people. But like Gavin McKenna could very easily be a star player that you don't want to trade, right? Like my thing is a franchise player is like literally no doubt in your mind. You are never trading this player unless they come to you and they have the ability to, and they go, I want to be traded today. And if that happens, then you should be fired. Like that level of player, right? Where it's like, you just do not let this player go because you're not going to find another one. And I mean, McKenna very well could be that level of player. Stenberg, maybe, but I'm not sold on that yet. I don't think there are really any others with that sort of upside. I just think that McKenna has like some lessons to learn to get there, and those are lessons that might be a little hard to learn on the job. But nonetheless, I think there's a lot of just like I also am of the belief. I'm also of the belief that in terms of like franchise players, if you want to call them that, you also kind of have to let them show themselves, right? Like I don't like putting expectations too high, right? Because everybody thinks prospects are better than they actually are in the context of the NHL, right? Like I'm always very conservative with how I value a player, because making the NHL is really, really, really hard. Not that many new jobs open up every year, and coaches don't have a lot of time to figure out if you're the right fit. So for me, it's like I think that those players, and a number of them at the top, could be very well extremely impactful players for their team. Hell, if things go really, really well for Mathis Preston and things bounce in the right direction, then yeah, I think he could be one too. Like I think there's a few guys where if things go the right way, Villeneuve, Lawrence, Stenberg, but definitely McKenna, then yeah, they're going to be franchise altering players. But like you go further down the list, like Gustafsson or Smits or Håkansson or whatever, I think those guys are more likely to just be like really good pieces to have around and good parts of the team that aren't the guy. Matt Poitras was the other piece, remember, for Anderson. Oh, yes, that's true. I remember that now. I probably would take White Cloud a first and a second if I'm Calgary, especially because they draft really well. Yes, we can do a Jacob Frollo game in office hours on Wednesday. Yes, I will. Here, just to prove it to you, so I remember, I'm gonna get my handcrafted notebook that I purchased in Spain while on vacation, and I'm gonna get a pen that I borrowed from Dylan Galloway of the North Bay Battalion. I borrowed this from him and never gave it back. I don't know if he's watching this episode. He watches sometimes. I'm not giving it back. It's a really good pen. It's mine now. Jacob. I love this pen. I love it so much. Jacob Frollo. Wednesday. Do not forget. There we go. That kind of looks like the word forget. Okay. There. It's in the book. That means it's going to happen. That was almost 5-1. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue here. It's more so he looks so thin on the ice. Yeah, I mean, so you're talking about Plante. Yes, I agree. But also, like, he's quite young, and I would never in a million years take him out of college for, 3 years? Like, I'd let him just develop and grow in college, right? Like, he'll put on weight, like, he's not physically developed yet, right? Like, statistically speaking, the guys that are most undervalued in the draft are the ones that people think are too physically underdeveloped. Like it's kind of insane how much data and information there is that's like the opposite of what people think is true. The guys that are really the ones you want to question are the guys playing lower level hockey who are more physically developed than everybody else they're playing against, right? And you can insert whatever name you feel is necessary in that description. The guys that teams seem to fall asleep on are the ones where there is physical development still to come, right? Like if their BMI is low, if their muscle mass is relatively low, they're very young, a number of things could play into that. And then it's like, well, okay, like you might need to do some research on like how trainable their body is, like how effective their body is at turning calories into muscle mass, which also comes down to how they train and all that stuff. Like there's a lot that goes into it, but I don't think I think you go for the player and you go for what they bring to the game. And in a case like Plante, like again, I don't think I would draft him in the first round probably, unless it was like one of the last picks in the first round and I just want a guy that I love. And I'm already a great team, like I don't care, then maybe. But then I kind of just think, but he's a long-term projection, right? We got to get him, gaining some weight, but don't lose that speed and all that other stuff, and just let him develop for a number of years, and don't expect too much too soon out of him. And I think he could get a good one. I need random guys who are interesting to fill out a second or third round. Oh God. Well, let's see. Let me pull up my rankings here. I mean, like, I'm trying to wonder, because I know you, Colonel Sanders. We're good pals. I think a lot of the guys that I've seen a lot and really like are guys that you've also seen and kind of liked. Like Hafley is in that kind of area for me. Lagerberg Hohen, Thomas Vandenberg, Liskey. Go watch some Ivan Fomin tape if you really want. Evan Jardine I've liked. Yegor Shilov is way down my board, but he's in that range. But we're going to do a game of him this week. Parker Trottier with the NTDP might be worth a look. Ryder Cali, Beckham Edwards. We did watch a game of Adam Nemec a few weeks, like a couple nights ago. And the guy that really impressed me on that team was JC Lemieux. And he's up to like 2 points a game with Sudbury. And that's a guy that I have grown to. He's looking a little bit more like the player that I saw at the Lincoln tournament that definitely was not there in Windsor. And so we'll see where he ends up, but he's off to a ripping hot start with that team. I don't know. Thomas Galvis, you could throw him in there. I need a hydration break here. I can feel my vocal cords expanding. Hello to you. Long time. Yes, I am back on YouTube and in the scouting space. Hello. Good to see you. I don't recognize the usernames, but welcome back. What should the Avalanche do to improve their team apart from let Landeskog get healthy? Get a better power play somehow. I don't know what the hell is going on there. But work on your power play. That's the biggest thing. I mean, looking at their roster, the Colorado Avalanche, I mean, like, I don't think you can really fit another defenseman that's probably going to need to be there, like a big upgrade type defenseman. Like, you've got your 6 strong, basically, at least 5. And there just isn't that much space. And, like, you look at your forward group, like, there's just so many solid players here. The only thing I might think is, like, you maybe, like a Kiefer Sherwood style trade where it's like a high-energy, rambunctious, complementary guy, because you've got the speed, you've got the skill, you've got so much on your team that's going in the right direction. You know, you've got your finishing ability from guys like Victor Olofsson, and so it might just be, like, see who's floating around that might be a little bit off the beaten path a little bit, and maybe you can get them a little cheaper. Does Colorado have a first round pick this year? No, they traded it to the Islanders. So, but at the end of the day, like, you're Colorado, right? Like, I think the other thing too is there is something to be said that making no moves also might be an interesting idea. Like I try to think about it from the perspective of the players on the team and how I would feel. And I've always felt like trade deadline acquisitions are always a little bit weird to me, where it's like you're adding a body to the room, you're taking someone away to make room for that person. And I think mix matters, and you don't really truly know what you're going to get out of it, if anything, let alone any kind of improvement. If you have a very, like, my strategy always is get a very well-defined idea of the type of player you're going to get at the deadline and exactly outline why you want them. Because I feel like teams kind of just by default, they go, well, we're really good and we are a team that is older and we can afford to pay whatever it takes to get the guy everybody wants, right? Let's add an Artemi Panarin, right? And I think you mentioned that Panarin might not be the answer. And looking at their roster, you might be right, honestly. I look at their roster and go, not only would you have to clean out the cupboard to get an Artemi Panarin probably, but, your lineup is already pretty deep with high-end offense. Like, scoring, I mean, if anything, the only real problem with the Avalanche is their power play. Their first power play unit that can't be right. Oh, okay, because is Nathan McKinnon not listed on their power play? Oh, he's on their blue line. Never mind. Crisis averted. But yeah, like in your top six, I mean, maybe you could throw up Panarin might have a job there and he would do really well. But I get the feeling that you might want to find something a little further down the lineup just to augment things. But I don't know. It's not a matter of personnel on the team, clearly, because not only are you the best goal scoring team, you're also the best at not being scored on. So the power play seems like the ticket. Just the power play. And yes, and Landeskog getting healthy would be good. Beckett Hamilton season. I actually, that's one that actually this commenter actually specifically mentioned to me. So we'll put him on the list as well. Beckett Hamilton. Not Beckett Hamilton season. Beckett Hamilton of the Red Deer Rebels. Have you seen Shane Gould? Just did a Sioux City game and he was borderline insane. I don't know. Shane Gould. Oh, I have seen this player before. Where did I see this guy? I think it was the Bishop Kearney Selects back in AAA with Puck Preps. I saw him. Let me see if I have anything in my notes from years ago. Shane Gould. Yeah, there it is. CompuWare versus BK Selects. Where is he? Shane Gould. Well. Wow, that writing is from a couple years ago, and I don't like it. But he got a write-up, so that's good. I liked him. I'll check him out. A 5'9" re-entry USHL defenseman? Say no more. Better or worse than Braden Thompson? That's the key. That's the key, old pal. But I'll check him out. No Gleb love allowed. He's bad as my clips showed. Right. Sorry, I forgot. We have a mole in the server now. Well, not a mole, I should say. Oh, 5-1 Minnesota. We have a bit of a cult going on. I don't know what it is about guys named Gleb, but there's a bit of a cult of Gleb going on in the server this year now, driven by one member in particular. But I'm hopping on board. A couple other people are hopping on board, and the Gleb Pugachev wagon has kind of left the station. And so, to avoid the surface analysis of groupthink and that we all just copy each other, we have one member in the comments who is very clearly just taking a stand on the other side, being the devil's advocate, stepping up and just saying, you know what? No, I'm not going to allow this. And every single time Gleb Pugachev does something that isn't awesome, we all hear about it from him. So that's what I call balanced and an unbiased community, actively combating against one another just for the sake of argument all the time. I like it. Makes sense to me. What were your thoughts on Slavkovsky going into the 2022 draft, and has it changed much since? So I've seen a bit of the Habs this year, mostly because I want to see Ivan Demidov. How could you not? Yeah. I mean, Slavkovsky is kind of weirdly what I thought he would be. I had Slavkovsky at 4 that year. I'm curious, is he still playing with Suzuki and Caulfield? Honestly, I can't remember. I'm going to look it up. His name is Slavkovsky. His name is Robert Paulson. Slavkovsky. Oh, right. I have to log in. HockeyViz.com. Shout out HockeyViz.com. Free promotion. An excellent website, especially if you are the type of person who would say things to people in high school and university, and they would look at you like your head was falling off. If you're that type of person, you'll like HockeyViz because it's for people like you. Have you seen the updated XG Boost model? It's so cool. Like, if you're that type of person, HockeyViz is for you. But Slavkovsky, right. He doesn't play with Zook and Caulfield anymore. He drives a line with Kapanen and Demidov. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think, again, it comes down to line construction all of the time. That's always the case. And okay, yeah, he is taken off. Wow. Okay, there you go. Boy, he's been getting a little bit eaten alive defensively since being taken away from those guys. But what else? What else is new? But anyway, no, that's a joke. So yeah, with Slavkovsky, I mean, he is kind of what I expected. Drafting him first overall, like, I mean, in retrospect, like, maybe the only real, like, no-brainer in retrospect that they could have had is Logan Cooley. Because, like, Shane Wright is a solid player. Slavkovsky's become a solid player. Like, there's just a lot of solid players out there from that draft class. Yeah, Slavkovsky is like, he's big and protects the puck really well and gets the puck off the boards really well. And I felt like as a really good sort of complementary up and down the ice winger that may not be a superstar but could play off of very, very, very skilled players well. Yeah, I could see it. Similar, like, I think it's kind of similar to a guy, I'm trying to think, like, in this year's class, like maybe Hemming type thing. I think Hemming is a little bit more of a pacey, energetic, north-south type player rather than more of a pressure absorber like Slavkovsky. But he is kind of what I expected. Coming out of that draft. I mean, I think the hype train on him went absolutely out of control immediately. I mean, look, I wouldn't have put him in the NHL right away, but if it wasn't, but only if it, it's only because, like, Martin St. Louis is sort of a weird case in Montreal where they kind of just let it happen and let him develop and took their time. So I guess that makes sense. But in my mind at the time, I thought, all right, I feel like he's going to be back in Finland for a while. Keep playing 20 minutes a night and developing more of an offensive edge to his game and stuff like that. But I don't know. At the end of the day, Slavkovsky was 4 on my list then. I in retrospect, let's see. Where would I like in a redraft or / re-ranking? Where would I have him? I would keep him ahead of Juracek, keep him ahead of Nemec, keep him ahead of Savoy. Yeah, I mean, looking at this up and down, like the only guys I'm looking at lower down on my list that I should have had that guy higher. I've really liked Cutter Gauthier with Anaheim whenever I've seen him. I think I was too low. I mean, I know I was too low on Gauthier. Hudson was in my top 25, but there was no way I would in retrospect, would I rather have a Hudson or a Slavkovsky? I mean, Montreal has both, so who cares? But I mean, yeah, like Slavkovsky certainly wouldn't have gone anywhere downwards on my list, at least no further than 7th, maybe, in retrospect. You got guys like Nazer floating around and obviously Hudson, and yeah, but good player. Any potential for Bryce Pickford? Of course. I mean, there's potential for everybody, like there's nothing that says that anybody is never going to make it, that's the great thing about being alive is that, there is a pathway towards whatever you want. If you want it, you just have to go about it the right way. So I'm not going to sit here and say Bryce Pickford can't play in the NHL. I will say that a defenseman shooting 18% is wildly unsustainable, even though he's an incredible shooter. My thing with Bryce Pickford has always been, as a defenseman, the defensive side of the game. His footwork and monitoring gaps and monitoring lanes and getting in the way and good stick checking, following through with physical pressure, all those things. Like, he scores more goals than assists, but obviously as a defenseman like him, he's going to shoot the puck. It'll be interesting to see. I'm not going to say it's not going to happen because all it takes is Martin St. Louis going, you're going to play in the lineup tonight. And all of a sudden he's a steal. He's an NHL player, right? It's one guy really at the end of the day coming down with the decision. And it's possible. There's good players there there's a good player there with Pickford, but I always felt like with him, he's more of the Bruchstevitz, Mitch Van de Sample type, not big defenseman who's not an elite skater, but does have offensive tools and can hammer the puck and really aggressive offensive player. And it just may not quite be enough for the NHL full time. But he's looking good. You can't take away the fact that he's scoring a ton of goals and absolutely blasting shots like there's no tomorrow. Almost certainly he'll be a video room candidate once we get through the first batch of ones that literally everybody will probably want to watch. What are the differences between Sweden and Finland U18 and U20? Are they the same quality? No. Swedish is way better, I think. Finnish U18, I don't even think about it, really. Finnish U18 or under 20 is also not really that much of a consideration, especially in the first half of the year because they split the league in half after halfway, and some of the teams in Finland are not very good. And I mean, I don't mean that like to be disrespectful, but there are teams that are like in the Arctic Circle and they don't have the resources that a team in like Helsinki or whatever have. And look at the hair on the guy behind this guy. Woo! Anyone watching the Amazon Prime game, this guy has a head of hair on him. Oh my God. But anyway, where was I? I'm really distracted by this guy's haircut. Yeah, I mean, I just think with Sweden, there's a higher floor of talent there. There are some teams that definitely trail the others, but the speed of the game is a lot quicker. But Finnish under 20, it has some interesting pockets, and like guys have come out of that league before and been okay, like Ville Koivunen and stuff. But I remember watching Ville Koivunen and going like, this guy is way beyond everybody else on this ice surface. And a few of those guys are like that this year, right? Schmitz, Svensk, Piparinen, all were like that. And now they're in Liga, right? Whereas in the SHL, it's like if I look at a junior guy in Sweden, I can still kind of go, yeah, I could get behind this guy at the under 20 level, and and push for him and see a long-term thing there. But I'm always a lot more interested in those guys who crack an SHL lineup and just seeing what they're like there, right? Like I value that quite a bit, what they look like at that level, because the SHL is not an easy place to play hockey at all. Carolina and Detroit seem like the favorites for Pettersson. Wow, I nailed it. The problem is that his trade value is in distressed asset territory. Carolina has some questions considering they chose the Rantanen route and not the EP40 route with Natchez. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what... I mean, Carolina could offer still quite a bit and get him. It's possible. And at least he's under contract, so you keep him. But again, yeah, you have to do your homework. You have to know exactly what Pettersson would do for your team that would be a benefit. What is his job? When you put him in the lineup, who is he going to play with? Who do you think he's going to play with and why? And why do you think it'll work? Tell me the story. Right? Why do you want this player? Because you're going to be spending a lot to get him, and you're going to be spending a lot to keep him. And you might be able to get him pretty cheap too, but I think you just have to know what you're going to get out of him and where he's going to play and who he's going to play with. Thoughts on Laver-Gashelov? I did not really enjoy him that much. I did download a game of him to do later, so if we get to that, we'll get to it. But he just seemed like a guy who had a ton of skill, just very, very, very skilled, but very little impact. Like I remember seeing him early in the year scoring, and you look at the teams that he's scoring against, and you're going like, well, that team is full of 16-year-olds. That team is full of 16-year-olds. That team is going to win 1 game this year. That team is maybe going to win 3 games this year. That team is on the East Coast, and they play teams from like Kamchatka. So not sure about that one, Chief. And you just kind of went down the list, and you're like, I don't believe that. It just became a thing where it's like, I just don't believe it with him. But I'll take another look because I have to, but wasn't super high on my priority list after seeing him a few times at the beginning of the year. Thoughts on Sapozhnikov and Melnikov? Sapozhnikov. Why do I... Sapozhnikov. I don't know which Sapozhnikov you're talking about. Alexander Sapozhnikov? I don't know. I guess Alexander Sapozhnikov. Right, this guy. I remember this guy. I'll have to take a look. I looked at him in September, and I remember kind of thinking he was neat, but I didn't put his name on the list, so I must have done that for a reason. But I'll check him out. He is very big, and he'll get drafted. He's in the KHL a bit here and there. He played a whole minute and 28 seconds on Sunday. Good for him. But yeah. All right. Where were we here? Let's go back to this. And Melnikov, I'm not sure which Melnikov you mean. There's a few. Let me see. Melnikov. Yeah, there's a lot of Melnikovs out there, my friend. Yeah, he big. I watched Windsor in person, and to be honest, Belchitz looked good, but not top 10 good. Yeah, I mean that I agree with. I think Belchitz is a easy top 20 pick, but I think his role likely is one that requires good surroundings. But if it works, it'll work really well. Kind of like Slavkovsky in a way, where it's like, would I want, like, if I had a bunch of fourth liners on my team, is Uri Slavkovsky going to come into town and elevate everybody and make everybody better and make the whole team better, a la some of the best players in the world? No, I don't think so. But as a part of a bigger project and a part of something bigger, then absolutely. He could be a good top 6, middle six winger, and he's got the floor to play and do something in the NHL. And he strikes me as the kind of guy where a coach at some point, they might go to him and go, I can't put you on the team unless you go like crazy out there and knock the socks off of everybody physically. And I feel like Belchitz will be the type of guy to listen to that and go, okay, and go out and do it. He just seems like that kind of guy. Like if it's not working out as a top 6 NHL player, he'll be a real problem to handle down the lineup a little bit. Jan Kuznetsov. Is that did he get, or Jan Melnikov? Jan Melnikov. Oh, yeah. Jan Melnikov. Yes. I know this player. I thought he sounded familiar. Yeah, I think he's one of these guys that's like an undersized winger that I don't know if he'll work out. Like I could see him being a pretty good KHL player. There's a lot of skill there. He's a real slippery player from what I remember. Very individually talented, and he can really shoot the puck. But I remember watching him, and it's hard to explain succinctly, but it just didn't really scratch the itch. It didn't really seem like an NHL pick there. Like I look at a Fyodorov and a Pugachov who are on the same team, and they play with way more pace and energy, a lot more, maybe not as much like pure skill in their game, but they're better like central like focal points of a line when they're on the ice. Pugachev moves the puck really well, much better than he used to. The physical play is really, really strong. Like there's a lot to really like about those two. And then Melnikov, I just haven't seen the same thing out of him. I'll check in on him again, but yeah, I didn't quite see it with him. Hello, Jonathan Riley. Have you watched Andrei Molgachev on the Hitmen? I just watched Ben Macbeth, and he was on the ice a lot with Molgachev. I think Molgachev, I wouldn't draft him. I remember seeing him in 16U hockey and really liking him, but I think he's more of maybe a interesting college guy or a high scoring WHLer, and maybe he goes back to Russia one day and has a career. I don't know. He's just, again, like that small, but like not quite skilled or quick or dynamic enough to make it work, I think, at higher levels. He's an interesting player. Like he's fun to watch, but I don't think he's going to check all the boxes for me as an NHL pick. Texier's on the top line. Damn. Wiggle Sorensen was loaned and had 3 points in his first game. Never seen him play. Well, I'm glad you asked. We talked about it earlier in the show a little bit, but he was gross. He could easily have scored more. I think all of his production came at even strength, and probably the best player on the ice. I don't know who else I would have put out there. Dominant player, like physical, but also not overwhelmingly physical. Good stick checker, good two-way energy. Explosive as heck, as explosive as anyone else in this draft. He was some of the plays, like I would be fascinated to see him in the CHL, because I feel like he could catch opponents sleeping with just quick cuts and hard skating off the boards and just attacking the middle of the ice. Like the energy that he can skate with is really impressive. The skill level in conjunction, like his hands and feet seem to be in perfect sync. Which I love to see out of a skilled player. That's kind of a must in a really high-end skilled player. He's a center. Like, I love him. I think there's all kinds of stuff that just is in the right direction with him. And I'm sticking my neck out because he is playing 4th division Swedish hockey. But as far as I know, he's going to be loaned out next year or moved up a couple of levels. And I get the feeling that after an adjustment period, he will be very, very interesting. Have you seen any of Logan Prudhomme, the 6'7", 210-pound center for the OHL draft? Well, we've got our giant child for this year. We've gone from Letourneau to Karmanov, now to Prudhomme. I haven't seen much of him. I can't really tell you. I did see a bit of the OHL prospects game that Jordan Millette, friend of the show, did color commentary for. There was a guy I've watched a little bit of it. I can't say I saw enough, but there was a guy in that game who was absolutely outstanding. I think he was OHL draft rankings on elite prospects. I think that's where I'll know the name when I see it. Arjun Nanubai. Yeah, that's the guy who really stuck out to me watching that. But Logan Prudhomme plays for Upper Canada College. Wow, that's fun. Cool. But yeah, for me, the guy that I really liked in that game was Arjun Nanabai, which is also an excellent name, by the way. What were the questions about Cooley going into the 2022 draft that made him not go first overall? Obviously, I get why Johnston, the best player available in 2021, flew under the radar. Well, I mean, number 1 was, well, Logan Cooley went number 3, right? It was Slafkovsky, Nemec, and Cooley, and then Wright. And Cooley was number 2 for me in retrospect, and pretty much immediately after I went, I should have put him at 1. Like, it was such a good lesson for me, and just being like, if I consistently am enjoying myself watching an elite player versus another supposedly elite player, go with the one you're enjoying the most, right? And in that case, I would have had Wright at like 3, maybe 4. But Logan Cooley, I mean, honestly, like, the size was the big one. The fact that he was a little small, played center, and didn't have too much of a defensive streak in him. But I would argue that was kind of overblown. But the big thing was like, oh, he's this small, skilled American fancy boy, so, you know, it might not work, right? And I mean, with like the one that blew my mind and still does to this day is Nemec over him. Like, I remember Devils fans yelling and screaming and moaning and wailing at me because I thought, like, why wouldn't you want Logan Cooley with guys like Jack Hughes and all this stuff? And they were like, we already have enough centers. We don't need more centers. We need defensemen. That's what we need. And I went, okay. Take your defenseman. And they did. But boy, Logan Cooley would look pretty good on the Devils. Although I'm sure Utah doesn't mind. But I mean, I feel like with the Devils, it was we have a lot of forwards in the system already. We've drafted a lot. Why would we, you know, and I don't know. Because leading up to the draft, I feel like Cooley also was still pretty common as a top 2 guy behind Wright. I could be wrong, actually. Let me look because this might be good for my ego, as if we needed more of that. This stupid. Sorry, I apologize. Yeah, Logan Cooley, consensus-wise, like, in my rankings that I tracked, it was Shane Wright, pretty much unanimously, then Cooley, Slafkovsky, Jiricek, Nemec, and then it kind of dropped off a little bit and became, you know, Savoy, Kemmel, Nazer, Gauthier, Lekaramaki, Korchinski, all the way up kind of thing. All right. What else do we have going on here? Yeah, I did see a little bit of the Women's Worlds. It was a bit of a different story than I was expecting. I'll say that much. Stenberg is playing on TSN tomorrow. Well, there you go. Now that McKenna scored more points in the games the past few weeks, fans are saying he should go first. Well, yeah, I mean, okay. Look, if McKenna goes first, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I don't know. I just think there are multiple guys that you could discuss as other options. And the thing about McKenna is that my ability to trust his ability to score in college hockey is never, ever, ever going to be in doubt. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is the NHL and like what a player brings in the NHL. And that's what you're trying to do. You're not trying to figure out who is a good college hockey player, right? Like that's not the game. So it's like if he is showing improvements in the areas that have been a bit of a struggle, well, or at least disappointing, I would say, or works in progress, then great. Then great. Like he's right there for me. You know, it wouldn't take much to convince me to go with him first overall. It would really come down to interview vibes and how he resonates with the team and the guys on the staff and all that stuff. But if everybody's on board, I'll be on board. Which has more ads, European jerseys or elite prospects? Well, I mean, sometimes EP has ads that are videos that run. European jerseys don't have those yet. I think we're a little bit of a ways away from that. I still think European jerseys has them beat. I think. I hope Belchets goes to 16 and the Habs get him. His style is what's missing in the Habs top line IMO. At the same time, that's what Slavkovsky was for. But I know you also mentioned that they need another large top six swinger. I will say this: the idea of drafting on like need, get rid of it, throw it out. Like if you need a big winger, trade the pick and get one, right? Ethan Belchets I cannot imagine he's in the NHL next year. Maybe, but I doubt it. You're looking like, and the Canadians are not in a position to be like, we added another big winger to play with Slavkovsky, but we got to wait a year or two to get there. Like, I don't think Montreal is in that position anymore. They're looking at, how do we become a playoff team here? How do we start to turn a corner here and try to win a Stanley Cup right now? Because, Cole Caulfield is just going on 25. Even like guys are starting to hit their primes, and you probably should start turning a corner. So if you want a guy like Belchets, I wouldn't draft one. I would trade the pick and go get one. You might not even need to trade that pick and go get one, right? Anyway, I know what you mean, though. I totally see what you mean. And if Belchets is in that range, that's probably a pretty darn good value pick. Do you think that Verhoff will be available at 5? And if so, should the Sharks trade up and try to get him? I mean, I wouldn't trade up in this year's draft, really, at all. Unless there's someone who's really, really high on my board who's late, who's just not gone off the board yet. Like if Mathis Preston is at 37, then I'll trade up and go get him. But Verhoff, like, I really like Verhoff, but I don't think he makes it to 5, personally. Like, I look at the teams that are there, and I look at the teams that are there. You've got Vancouver. They absolutely could use a guy like that. Winnipeg, I would argue, could use a guy like that. Chicago definitely could use a guy like that, I think. St. Louis probably could use a guy like Verhoff. I'm sure they wouldn't mind. Calgary definitely could use a Verhoff. The Rangers, absolutely. Like, I don't think any of those teams have a realistic, like, we're going to pass on this guy because we don't really think he fits. I think all of those teams, based on what they have on the roster, what they have in the system, they all are lacking maybe a guy like a Verhoff, at least with that type of ceiling. So I doubt he makes it that far. I don't know. And I don't know if I would trade up. I think this year is good enough, deep enough, strong enough that you just see who's left, right? You just see who's left. Within reason. It's hard to say because we're not sitting in the draft. I don't trust you that this person is real. I don't trust you, so I'm going to look it up. Okay, he is real. And, this guy. Right. Michel Milosrdny. Haven't seen enough of this guy to know. I don't think I've seen Gatineau, like, at all. But he is very, very big. So there's that. And the picture of him is him fighting. So that might also give you an indication. I'll check him out. Sure. But he's big, so sure. Have you seen how many big guys Windsor has in the OHL? Oh, yeah, I have. Heck yeah, I have. They have a lot of them. Sorry you have to watch the Sudbury Wolves now that Adam Nemec is there. Actually, we did watch a game of Adam Nemec the other day. That's where I saw Lemieux, and I thought he was really good. Also, the audacity of JC Lemieux to go to a place and wear 66, I love that. I think that's awesome. But I can see a handful, if not the entire NHL, looking at him and going, who do you think you are? with the last name Lemieux and wearing 66. Come on. Whereas I'm sitting here going like, yeah, man. Hell yeah. Gonchar is certainly Artyom Gonchar, man. He is an aggressive, intense defenseman. Not physically, but just how much he loves to play with the puck, how much he loves to go into the offensive zone and mess around and, mix things up and pretty good skater and just kind of a cowboy. He's kind of all over the place a lot of the time, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't, but he's a fun player to watch for sure. The Arjun Nanabai was really impressive. I don't know anything about the OHL draft, but him going first overall based on that little bit that I saw, yeah, I could see why. He's quite a burner, quite a player. Tinus Lukobar thoughts? I've never heard of him. Is he that guy that the Toronto Maple Leafs drafted that everybody told me was bad at hockey? I believe so. I'm such a moron. But yeah, Koblar, I haven't seen too much of him with Lexan this year. I'm surprised he's in the SHL this quickly. Pleasantly surprised. But he seems to be playing a pretty good role for them, like absorbing pressure really well, getting up the ice pretty well, but good skill. Like there's a lot in his game that's just really solid right now, a good foundation to build upon. And I'm still annoyed that Toronto pulled him out from their hat when I thought he'd be available later for team scouting. Little annoying, but that's okay. I bet if you thought you could take first overall in a redraft, they take Slav right now. Maybe, but I think they like having a coolie around. Upper Canada College mentioned. Yeah, Upper Canada College, man. For anyone who doesn't know, I was a child of the Toronto private school system, so Upper Canada College. I wasn't a student there, but I did go there a few times. Upper Canada College is, I mean, there are probably hundreds of schools in the United States like Upper Canada College, but that is where the future prime ministers go. That is where the future leaders of our nation come from in the city of Toronto. That is a prestigious prestigious school that has been around forever, and it is bougie as heck. And now they're trying to build a really strong program. I mean, I feel like there's quite a few Canadian Toronto-based schools that are really pushing to be more involved at high-level hockey. I know that De La Salle is building a brand new arena, and it's pretty big and has seating, and Upper Canada's really pushing for hockey. And honestly, like, I totally get it. They have a lot of resources. There's a ton of money, and I'm sure that parents and students would not mind if school sports were more commercialized and more fun and more big time at Canadian prep schools like that. And it makes sense. It's an alternative to the CHL. I could see it working out, honestly. And a nice little alternative to the GTHL system that is bordering on parasitic in Toronto, at least. Instead it's like just go to school and play hockey for 4 years, right? I mean, the U.S. does that. Yeah, 1829, Upper Canada College was founded. Yeah, 50 years before Canada even existed. Good thing. Yeah, okay. Yes, I'm not even giving that comment about Brad Lambert the time of day. I still believe. Fastest question the last 3 years, and this year I'm adding another one. Who's winning the cup first, Leafs, Sens, or Habs, and why is it changed to the Habs? Well, I mean, let's just say, you know what? I mean, now that the Habs have some interesting goaltending prospects that have been doing pretty well, I believe, and Demidov has come over and all that stuff. I mean, I hope Montreal finds a way. They've got Michael Hage on the way. I imagine he'll be a player. The Sens are in la la land with regards to vibes. So that's a problem. But those things are ideally temporary. And I still feel like Ottawa has plenty more in the tank to go. But we'll see what happens. I will not say too much about them because I will not say too much because I don't want to get Steve Stais all up in my grill talking nonsense. Yeah, I mean the Sens are goalie cemetery, so who knows? The Habs fast, yeah. I mean, I think the Habs are probably best positioned. Lesson for most teams: draft the best talents and trade for need. Exactly. Yeah, like I fully agree. You draft like you don't you draft to find things that you always wish you had more of, if you know what I mean, right? Like there are talent sets, there are skill sets, there are things that don't come around in a way, and you want those, right? And I find I think I don't even know if there are that many NHL teams that draft on need at all. Like it seems like from my perspective, the only NHL teams that like draft on need are the teams that have already drafted like 30 times in the previous 4 years or 3 years. And they're like, well, we have so much skill or so much size or so much this, so much that. We got to change gears a little bit here because you do need to counterbalance some of the stuff that you've gone out and gotten already. But that's a very specific case. Which big winners would be available? I mean, like Will Cooley, but the Rangers would never trade him. I mean, the only names on the Rangers I could see realistically going somewhere in the next little bit, Carson Soucy, Vincent Trocheck for sure. Maybe someone takes Will Borgen. I don't know. I think the Rangers with the contract structure. I mean, Panarin. It seems like Panarin's going to go. That's kind of a must if there's takers and he's willing to go. But other than that, I think you're kind of locked in. Like I don't think Miller or Zibanejad are going anywhere. Shesterkin, you probably don't want to trade him. Cooley, I don't know why you would trade Will Cooley. You've kind of got something there in terms of what he does well. That's true. I agree. If Caulfield was 6 feet, then he'd actually be good. I agree. Like to see Utah get Radish. Oh, Taylor Radish. Yeah, that's another one that probably could be on the move. And that's not really the guy where I go, yeah, you probably want to keep him through a rebuild because you'll get better. You know, he'll make the kids better. Like I feel like Radish is just like a hired gun who always kind of just does well wherever he goes, which is fine by me. Team Scouching member, one of the OGs, Taylor Radish. Have you seen any of this player? I think his name is Mathis Preston. I think he's going to be an 8th rounder. I don't know about that. Mathis Preston, never really heard of him. The last game we did of him was hilarious. I think he had 20 controlled zone exits out of the defensive zone. I don't think I've seen anyone ever cross 15. I mean, he played like 21 minutes at even strength in that game, which was insane. The overtime winner he scored was disgusting. Just absolutely filthy and ludicrous and worth looking if you haven't seen it. I mean, it's a shame that him and Ryan Lynn went down week to week. That's crazy. But he was pretty darn good in that game that I saw. So I've heard of him. I think he's pretty good. Hard to find Colby Barlow's in the trade market. You got to draft him. Yeah, exactly, right? Like, anyway. We prayed to Zhuravsky. Yes, we got the Zhuravsky stands. Yeah, I mean, he is a ton of fun to watch. Again, like one of the if the NHL draft were pure fun and skill, he would be a top 20 guy to me. He'd be a top maybe 15. I don't know how many guys in last year's draft were as creative, as skilled as Zhuravsky. We'll see how it goes. The ultimate test remains, but he's progressing offensively much faster than I expected, and I'm happy to see it because I've been on the Zhuravsky wagon since last September. What the hell is Darren Radish? He's a multi-millionaire, my friend. Better get used to it. Sabres felt like they drafted for need with Merca because there's nothing in the right defense pipeline. Right. I could see that. That is true. But I would have been very vocal about disagreeing with that. Is it shiny head powers? I don't know what shiny head powers are. Do I have a shiny head? No. I have a lot of hair, though. There's a lot of hair coming in. Oh, Darren. Oh, you meant Darren Radish. Okay, well, I thought you meant with the Rangers, Taylor Radish being a guy that gets traded. But I don't know much about Darren Radish. What's the most controversial opinion you have about sports and about life? Oh God. My most controversial opinion about sports. I don't know. I don't know if I have that many like really controversial opinions about sports. It's a good question. I don't know. Like, my mind keeps wandering towards, like, protecting athletes online. But I don't think that kind of thing is, like, controversial. But, like, how far I would want to take it, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, this is also coming from somebody who gets told how stupid he is very often, both privately and publicly. With my knowledge and without my knowledge. Like, I'm well aware of it, and that is kind of annoying. But I'm also, like, I can't even imagine what it would be like if you're, like, you know, Josh Allen or any of these huge athletes that just get inundated with stuff constantly. But I don't know. That seems like low-hanging fruit. I mean, I personally think, I don't know if this is controversial, but personally, I think, here, look, if anybody is watching this from the International Ice Hockey Federation or something, I have a proposal. You want to grow the game? You want more people playing hockey? Go to every equipment manufacturer, and I think what you need to do is do two things. Number one, you have to build out an infrastructure for ball hockey, for kids to play ball hockey, whether it's cheap leagues, cheap equipment, community organizing. I think you need to get ball hockey and roller hockey into people's lives more, because, like, personally, hockey is hockey to me. I don't care how you play it. I like hockey. Ice hockey is exorbitantly expensive, and it's getting more expensive. You know what's less expensive? Taking away the ice. You know? So I would say if I'm the IIHF, I make a good hard push towards growing the game that way. And then if it works, and if you're making some decent money, you know, trying to make that work, I might think about going into a different direction of I think there should be a developmental league of international teams. How sick would it be during the season to see an under-20 league of international teams where, like, they cluster in a location together and play like a mini tournament, and then come back to a different area and cluster for, like, you know, a mini tournament there too. Like, I would be so down with, even at the junior level, some kind of, like, group of people, some kind of group of people or group of, I mean, that's a loaded question. It's hard. I mean, I'm in my 30s, right? And I am extremely privileged to be leading the life that I'm living. And I'm not really in a position to like minimize anyone else's experience, because I'm sure that many people have it a lot harder than I do. So it's not like to be on a pedestal and be like, you damn kids just don't want to work anymore. Austin Matthews on the breakaway. What a goal. Oh my goodness. Well, Austin Matthews, rumors of his demise might be a little overblown. The IIHF, wouldn't they need to create a new federation? You could just buy the IBHF. Just buy the IP to the IBHF. I don't know. I mean, it seems this, again, I might be making myself look like a jackass, but I seem to be one of the most like pro AI people out there. Like, obviously there are pockets where it is nefarious and can be bad, but like, that is just the price you pay with progress, in my opinion. Like, there has never been an advancement that by and large has been a positive based on what your definition of a positive is for humanity. There very rarely hasn't been nefarious actors or growing pains in any new development of any kind anywhere ever. You know, like I would really urge people who are super down on stuff, you know, like, try to put yourself in the shoes of different time periods. Put yourself in the shoes of someone, you know, like everybody, like, again, it's like, think about like your parents, right? Your parents maybe your parents were like this. They're like, you damn kids, you just yada, yada, yada. But it's the same cycle every generation, right? Just the circumstances shift. And I think that you have to be really cognizant and keep your focus on like your own experience and like how you can control it, right? And how you can sort of take it. Like, I've seen people be like, I'm straight up refusing to use AI tools because I fundamentally disagree with the morality of its existence. Which, good for you, right? Good for you. But I'd be willing to guarantee you that you are going to be the type of person who in 10 years is going to be left behind in a lot of ways, right? I think the thing about AI that is very good is the productivity gains that there absolutely are. But bigger than that, it's how it has opened up really big ideas and big economic drivers to the creativity of the individual. Like one of the things I think is a little bit crazy is people talking about how, like, I will never use AI to create creative content, right? I understand where you're coming from there, right? I think it is ethically and morally wrong to take everybody's copywritten information and train a model with it without their permission. And I don't like that that's done in coercive methods and it's all whatever. But if you Google it, I will promise you this is true. There are companies out there that are doing licensing deals with copyright holders to train their model. Like, it is expected that that's going to be a multi-billion-dollar business by the end of the decade. There's going to be this infrastructure of how to, if you're a new AI company and you want to train a model, the rungs you have to jump through and the fees you have to pay in order to train that model, right? Like, it's like how we're in the world, it's almost like how we're in the world of Napster before Spotify, but instead of Napster being this like roughshod, raggedy program that like some dude wrote and millions of people use it and it's not monetized. It's like if Napster were a $1 trillion company. Where like like VC people looked at Napster and went, "That's the coolest thing I've ever seen. I'll give you $1 billion to fund it." Right? It's the same principle, but it's just different. And there was a freak out about that too. There was a massive freak out about the internet and how you can download files and how you can do this and this and this. And people are talking about power consumption. Let me tell you about power consumption of a computer 10, 15, 20 years ago. Like, I agree that, I mean, number one, the environmental impact is a problem. But I will also say that people talking about the amount of water that AI uses, even environmentalist people are highlighting that, like, that is extremely misleading because the water is used as a coolant, not wasted, right? Like, it is pumped through it and it's reusable. Right? Like, I think say what you will. If you don't trust Sam Altman, you don't trust Sam Altman. I don't know what to tell you. I don't really 100%. But I agree with him when he says, I based on my own research, like a command does not use actually per command that much water. Right? I think that a couple of things can be true at the same time. Number one, it is a lot of energy consumption. Right? That's a fact. But two, AI has made Google the largest investor in renewable energy in the world, right? You're seeing a tipping point where building new power in most places except the US, solar power is the cheapest way to do it. I think also, if you want, like, you're also creating, think about it this way too, right? Like, this is a good thing about capitalism. You're creating demand for something beyond what we're capable of. Like number one, NVIDIA constantly is talking about efficiency. They know that it's bad that their products suck up all this power. Nobody wants that, right? Obviously, it creates a competitive advantage for someone else to come along and say, we use less water, right? You know, we use less energy per gigahertz. We use less energy, and that gives you a competitive advantage. Like, NVIDIA doesn't have a vested interest in driving up power costs and all this stuff. Like, nobody does. So what you then create is an environment where that demand has to be met. So what you end up with is, you do end up with some hiccups with regards to, like, well, a natural gas plant is easier to build and everything. But at the end of the day, like, what if in 15 years we have a breakthrough with regards to fusion power, right? Like, if you want to create a ton of energy real quick, that's a good place. That's an interesting place to go. And it is physically possible. And if it just is a matter of investment and time and work, what happens if we get to that point, right? Like you're creating an environment where advancement needs to happen in order to support the advancement that came before it. You know what I mean? And, like, the other thing too is, think about it this way too. When the internet was created, Facebook didn't exist. Netflix didn't exist. All of these, some of the largest companies in the world did not exist. And the incredible thing about those companies is how lean they were. Like, how small the teams were that started these companies. 3 guys turned YouTube into a $1 billion company in, like, 2 years, right? So, like, now with AI tools, you now have access to, for me, pretty much anything. Anybody can make anything, right? It's like to me, it's similar to, like, pianists complaining that Pro Tools exists and that synthesizers exist. You know, it's like, well, you can just plug in a sequencer to a synthesizer and just twiddle some knobs and then it starts making music for you. That's not music. That's not a thing. And then you turn around and you go, right, but like 60,000 people just bought tickets to my electronic music festival and you're practicing your piano in a room by yourself, right? Like, at some point, you kind of have to just kind of go with the times. You got to kind of roll with it and do what you want, right? so anyway, to me, like, that's a huge thing that I always am thinking about, right? Because I think it's a very interesting thing. It's a very interesting world, and obviously, like, people like, there's legitimate things that are issues, right? Like, I do think that unlicensed use of copyrighted work is a big problem, but it's being dealt with. I think it seems like it's being dealt with on a number of fronts, and it'll take time, but it did with the internet too, right? And people made mistakes, companies went under, like, yada yada yada. But now, I mean, I agree. Like, I agree. The fact that people can make realistic generated copyright, like, generated content like that, like, but that's a government problem, right? That's not a technology problem. That is a government problem. Like, I mean, maybe they'll self-regulate on that, but I don't know how. I don't really know how you would. But, like, I think that the only way I can think is, like, you make your watermarks blatantly obvious when something is generated with AI, right? Because I agree, like, that's a huge problem. And it's already happening. You're seeing AI stuff and people are going, oh my God, rah, the world's ending. And it's just like, that's not real. Like, I guess I'm coming at it from more of the perspective of, like, business development and individualism and sort of running your own company and the abilities that you have as an individual and how much they've expanded and how much that might change at a business level, like for a company or something. But with regards to, like, the ethical use of the public tools, with regards to, like, people's image and likeness, that needs to be dealt with for sure. I 100% agree. And yeah, I mean, like, the water thing too. It's like, yeah, think of all the water California uses to grow almonds. Nobody likes almonds, right? Like, all the water to raise cows, right? I don't really eat beef, right? So is my impact offset because I don't eat beef? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I think it's a really interesting thing. I like you mentioned travel itineraries too. 100%. Like, some of the best meals I've ever had in my life were thanks to reservations done through Perplexity. Like, the thing about these AI tools as well is they're still also very early in their development, right? Number one, it very well could be possible that a company comes along and figures out a way to do this in a completely different way, that they become the next $1 trillion company, and OpenAI goes the way of, like, Cisco or goes the way of WorldCom or something. I don't know, just goes under because they just can't compete with what this new product has and how lean they are and how much they haven't spent to set up the company. Like, that's really the danger in the big picture, is, like, all of this money has been spent. So when it's done, like, and when NVIDIA has had more products or other companies come out with other products that replace this generation, someone might come along and go, well, I'm late to the party, but, like, that's a good thing for me, you know? And it might just be, like, one guy. It could be, like, a group of 5 people who create something that is completely it completely changes the world. But with regards to the other thing to keep in mind is, like, there's also the ability to purchase things through these models as well now, and that's growing. Like, to break the fourth wall, I'm a PayPal investor because PayPal has done deals with OpenAI and a couple of other models. I think Gemini and a couple of, maybe not Gemini because they have Google Pay, but there's one other big one, maybe Anthropic, where any purchases done through them are purchased through PayPal. And so it's like, to me, it's like, I look at that and go, well, there you go. Like, that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, organizational stuff, like, and yeah, I don't know. The only thing is that, yes, it is using copyrighted information to train itself, and that's wrong. But, like, one of the companies that I'm interested in that I've been tracking for a while and keeping an eye on is Shutterstock. Shutterstock bought Getty Images. And so they have one of the largest backlogs and libraries of of copyrighted imagery and copywritten. They have 3D models and stock photos and everything, and they pay the users that upload their stock photos. And down the road, and so what they're doing is they're licensing that library to companies that want to train specific models, right? So, and that they're doing it the right way, right? They're using their libraries to license it out, and that's a huge part of their business now. So Shutterstock is an interesting one. Adobe's the same thing. But Shutterstock, I think, is doing it more creator friendly, I would say, because they actually pay the stock price or the stock photo owners a percentage of that fee. But in any case, it's a really interesting thing. And yeah, I agree. I think it should be, it should be illegal for there not to be a way for you to know if something is AI or not. I think that everything made that is AI generated needs to be labeled as such somehow, right? Like whether it's some sort of digital specification, some sort of code that you can bake into a file, but but that's a regulatory concern. That's not a technological concern. And the internet came with its own. The internet came with it. Think of the change, right? Think of maybe you're not old enough to know, but think of the change from if you're, say, Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio was famous when he was a teenager, when he was a kid, right? Social media didn't exist. Think of how terrifying the advent of a technology like social media was for people who were like young people and very famous in 2006 or 7. Think of how terrifying the ability to just go up and say words to someone you've never met who is extraordinarily famous on a massive scale. That's a completely different, the privacy that people had was completely different. And so it's like there were things that had to happen to protect people and cultural norms that had to be developed, and it was a crappy time getting there, but you did, arguably, for the most part. So with AI stuff, I agree. I think that it is crucial to say this. I think that's something that I think Grok is doing, or X.com or whatever. They're labeling a lot of AI stuff, then I think that's good. It's a must. It's a must, and I think that I think that it is also morally wrong just to use these models to farm out, if you're a graphic designer, just farm out work. And I don't even think they're even that good in that sense either. It's not, maybe it'll get better, but in any case, and I'll say this about the kids, right? Kids writing school papers because of AI. Number one, in my day, kids didn't read the books you were given in English class. Instead, they just went to Coles Notes. Spark Notes. Remember sparknotes.com? If you didn't read a book, they had chapter summaries and you could just copy, paste, and reword them, right? Kids are going to cheat. It's going to happen. AI makes it really easy to cheat, but I am also a big believer in you reap what you sow. If you want to cheat your way through your bachelor's degree, you're going to get fired and never get a good reference ever again, ever at the age of 22, which I don't think you want. You can fake it till you make it until you can't make it. And then someone finds out, and then it's a big problem. It only hurts you, right? We're both studying essentially for the Canadian Securities course in Canada. We use AI, but we're studying. You read the book, you write the notes, you do this, but you go, I'm having trouble understanding the subject. I'm in this chapter of the book. I'm da-da-da-da-da. Can you explain it to me like I'm a noob, right? And that helps a lot. It's massively helpful, right? Stack Overflow is meaningless. Stack Overflow is meaningless. It's a great organizational tool. But anyway, let's get back onto the hot topic here, the hockey topic. See what you've done. But I don't really have much time left. We'll go for 8 more minutes. I'll give you an extra half an hour. With the rise of Command and Sorensen, do you think Sweden under 18 World's Junior will be built differently than their Herlinka? Maybe a little bit, but I imagine it'll roughly be similar, but I imagine those two will be there. Yes, I know Darren Radish's stat line is insane, yes. Villeneuve and Preston going to Boston College next year? Well, that would be just the best, wouldn't it? Who do you think will be good first, Calgary or Vancouver? Calgary, probably. New follower from Montreal. Welcome. So here are 2 Quebec-oriented questions. How high are you on Alexis Joseph if you've watched some games of him, and have you watched much of Zach Charbonneau? So I have not seen Charbonneau. Really, I can't give you a good read on that. Joseph I've seen a bit of. I like his sort of fundamental floor. It's more like I want to see what he looks like next year. Like I don't want to get too carried away. He's got some good power in his game. He's a good guy up the middle of the ice. He's got some skill through pressure. Like he seems like an upgrade on an Ethan Belchet's kind of, and also a center. Like I don't know. I like him, but I will hold my breath until next season. That's kind of where I'm at. All right. Well, I think we've kind of caught up here already. There's just a lot of, yeah. Yeah, Calgary has drafted some really, really interesting guys lately. Yeah. Yes, back in my day, we did have to work for our cheating, all right? Now, I'm not admitting that I've cheated. I'm not doing that. Let me be clear. I was a dork. I did study. I did work really hard to get a degree that I guess I'm barely using now. But there actually, I mean, there wasn't, as far as I know, like not a whole lot of cheating going on. Like in university, they make it a lot harder to cheat on exams. I mean, that's the other solution too. Just put everything back on paper, right? Like, I don't know. But any case. All right, we'll close with this one. Who's your favorite player from Newfoundland? Oof. NHL players born in Newfoundland all time. Alex Newhook is on there. Harold Druken, legend Harold Druken. I didn't know Ryan Green was from Newfoundland. Honest, like, I'd probably say Daniel Cleary, Alex Newhook, Colin Greening. No, nice. I mean, Harold Druken just has an elite hockey name, so maybe him. Something like that. Bob Gladney. Fun times. Once I got to college and was paying for classes, any desire to cheat went out the window. Exactly. I mean, like, it's kind of a moral thing. Like, obviously, if you're a kid and you're just like, I don't care, or I don't want to do any work, like, fair enough, right? Like, you'll learn eventually that that's a bad habit. Trust me. Again, I'm not admitting to cheating in university, but yeah, like, you're right. You're paying for it. At least in North America, you're paying for it. And like, honestly, like, yeah, if you're just kind of skipping around and skipping by, like, you're just wasting your own time, right? Like, you may as well just go for a walk. Like, it's probably a better use of your time if you're just going to go home and, you know, but anyway, it's an interesting world we've made here. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on that is very interesting. And with it, you know, with all this AI stuff, like, I think it is simultaneously a great thing and also a scary thing, just like any technology. Railroads, radio. Think of the television. You want to see moral panic, go research when Elvis Presley went on the Ed Sullivan Show. You want to see the world is coming to an end. Oh my goodness. People thought the world was coming to an end when they found out some video games have blood in them. You know, there's always something to be panicked about that turns out to not be that big of a deal. And we eventually move on to just the next thing, right? The next boogeyman, the next thing to make you upset and afraid and scared, right? Like, it's just, it's, and then, like, honestly, like, I'll tell you this, right? I'll tell you this, and then we'll leave for the night. But, like, when I was in my early 20s, like, I was a bit down that, like, that bad pipeline on the internet you don't want to be on, especially if you're a man. I'll tell you that. And it's like that constant outrage machine. There was always something to be upset about. There was always something to be, oh, this person's getting offered this, and these people don't deserve this because they didn't work for it, and da 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 da, and all this other crap. And then it was like, honestly, like, it's such good, it sounds so simple, but it's such good advice to just, like, touch grass, like, just go outside. Like, I remember one day I kind of, like, snapped out of that type of thing because I was just on the subway one day, and I just, like, looked around in Toronto on the subway, and I just looked at all the different people that were there. Like, I was on one end of the train facing the rest of the train all the way in front of me, and I just kind of looked around, and I was like, man, there's just, like, all kinds of people here, right? Clearly some of these people are more well off than others. Clearly some of these people are visible minorities. Clearly some of these people are not. Clearly some of these, like, there was just a little bit of everything. And that's what I love about Toronto. But, like, or one of the things I love about Toronto. But, like, it kind of sucks you out of that hole a little bit, where you go, like, everybody's just trying to get by. Who am I to, like, get in the way of people just, like, trying to get by? Who am I to think that I know better, right? Like, it's who am I? Who cares? Right? Like, it's just so, it just became, that type of thing just became so annoying to me. And it's just like, you literally just go outside and live with the assumption that most people are just trying to get by and trying to do what's best for them. And there largely isn't, like, a mass society of nefarious craziness, there is if you want it. There is if you want to go out and find it. But when you kind of sort of zoom out a little bit and, go outside and interact with, people that, are just regular old people, and be nice to them, it's amazing how you feel about the world after that, right? So yeah, anyway, I'll get off the pedestal for the night, but it's a little tidbit before we go for tonight. But anyway, I appreciate your patience. Thank you for being here tonight. It was a lot of fun. I know it's a little different when it's just me, just like old times, but we try to have fun around here. But thanks very much for joining us. We'll be back on Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. I think AJ will be there. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to hang out. We're going to do whatever. If you really want to help us out, you can go to scouching.ca and consider subscribing, where any tier will get you access to all kinds of fun little perks, like our Discord server where we do office hours and talk about players privately, watch some tape that I've pulled and all that stuff. Or you can get some data tools that you like there, drafted prospects, undrafted prospects. You get... I'm like 95% sure you get a merch discount, but I'm not sure how well I advertise that. So if you want some merch, you can go subscribe there and get a discount, depending on your tier. Maybe I might have just made that up. So if I did, I apologize. But maybe next year I'll incorporate that if it's not there already. You get the point. You can go over there, check it out, if you want. If you don't, that's cool too. But anyway, in the meantime, stay safe, be well, go touch grass, try to relax. Everything will be fine. Maybe, probably, hopefully. Maybe not, but, assume things hopefully will be fine, because what are you going to do about it anyway, right? Like, a giant meteor comes, who cares? Oops, nuclear war. Oh, well, too bad, Anyway, thanks for joining. This was a lot of fun. Thank you very much. Au revoir. See you Thursday.